guess the first one we'll start out with was the Jets against the Broncos, who Broncos ended up winning the game 17-13. And I guess the thing that's going on there is that's another win for Tebow, but yet there's still controversy around Tebow, and that John Elway's still not sold on him, and I don't know why he keeps winning. So I guess we can talk about that a little bit, and a little bit about Rex Ryan and his comments after the game.
Hey, what exactly did he say? I saw the fine and I saw a video of it, but they weren't on TV. They didn't say what he said.
Shut the you-know-what up, and it was 4 letters starting with an F.
Oh, yes, and rhyme with hockey puck. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I saw that. First, to start off with Rex, I mean, as strictly as they are on the players, I mean, we can't even tackle anymore. So I expect him to get fined for that. And especially, you get, I think James Harrison had a couple $100,000 fine. So, I mean, if you're going to sting the players like that, I think you can sting the fans like that. I mean, the coaches like that.
Yeah, I'll give you my shot at it, Brandon. You tell me what you think about Tebow. I like the kid. I think he's a competitor. He studies hard. He works very, very hard. And I almost equate it a little bit. Is he going to be a long-term great quarterback in the NFL? I think time's going to tell us that. But he continues to play. He's won games for him coming down the road since he got put into the starting position. So why don't you let this be kind of his. That's right. From my aspect of it. I played with Barry Sanders for 4 years. When he came out in the draft, they said he's too short to play as an NFL running back. Well, some people ate a little crow on that one, I believe. And I'd like to see Tebow feed him a good, healthy portion of crow myself. I hate to see a guy who comes in who's, he doesn't have any baggage from his past. He's playing as hard as he can. He's not done anything to be controversial, and yet he goes out here and wins games. And all we can sit back and do, at least from the sports writers and sportscaster standpoints, is bashing.
Right. I agree. I mean, me and a good friend of mine were talking about it the other day, and we were just saying, I was saying, he hasn't changed anything. Like, he's been the same person this whole time. And for, the way he was treated and everything looked at when he was in college is totally different from the way he's treated and looked at in the media now. So I think, that's mostly the media is the one that made him jump from the number 3 quarterback to the starting quarterback and, to where we are now. But as far as on the field, like you said, he's winning. And I think right now it's more, it's kind of like when the Wildcat hit, or in college football when the spread first hit, where it's new and nobody's really prepared for it. And it's just, it's going to take the league maybe a year or so to catch up. Because eventually, right now it's just an option. So it's something new, it's different keys that you're reading. But eventually, those linebackers are going to just start shooting. And, there's only so many gaps on the field. So once the linebackers start shooting, then it's going to be, we're going to see, Tebow's a big dude. Tebow's about Urlacher size. So Tebow's a pretty big dude, 250. So he's going to start taking those hits, and we're going to see how the offense goes. But like you said, right now he's 4-1 as a starter or something.
Yeah.
I think he has 4 wins as a starter. You got to ride with it now. I saw John Fox do an interview where he praised him, but then at the end said, if we try to do a regular offense, we'd be screwed. So, they know it's something different, but if you get the team to buy in behind it, it doesn't really matter.
Well, the next game, let's look at Jacksonville Jaguars go to Cleveland. The Brownies are kind of hanging in there. They end up winning 14-10 there. So I don't have a whole lot to say about that game, but I didn't know if you had anything to weigh in on it.
Yeah, that game was just nasty. That was just a nasty game. Last week I saw the Jacksonville and Indy game, and that might have been the worst NFL game I've seen in my life. They had Gabbard. Gabbard threw 3 interceptions, 3 in one drive. 2 of them got called back, and it's like he was hell bent on throwing this interception. He's like, hey, no, referee, nobody's going to stop me from throwing this interception. He threw 3 interceptions on one drive. And, I mean, you get those 14-10 games, and these aren't 2 strong defenses that's holding somebody to 14 to 10 points. So that lets you know right there, like, you know, how sloppy the game is. But, I mean, Cleveland got the whole Peyton Hillis situation going on, and that's became kind of a joke. You know, what's going on with him. He had Charles Bentley kind of calling him out for missing the count and spilling the beans on what kind of money Peyton Hillis is asking for. And now what last I heard is they're talking about just releasing him in the offseason. And that's going.
Wow. Well, you know, a year ago, when was it? A season ago was when he suffered through a lot of injuries too, so he didn't play very much at all then. And then he gets playing time, does pretty well, and we're getting near a contract situation, and all of a sudden you start to talk money and you're not on the field. The other one I do want to talk about is Buffalo going to Miami and flat laying an egg. I mean, Buffalo starts out hotter than you know what, first part of the season, and now they can't seem to buy their way out of a game if they had a suitcase full of money. So, I don't know, you know, and here's Miami, who starts the season looking like, you know, they're going to be the doormat of the whole NFL, and now they're starting to play better. I mean, again, that is the NFL, but, you know, I think everybody's expectations of the 2 teams were more so, I guess, with Buffalo's surprising start than Miami's disappointing start.
Right. I think, and you know, at the beginning of the year, Buffalo, even when they were winning, you know, I would always say, I don't know about them yet. I don't see what it is yet. You know, because it's very easy to fool people and, you know, pull off a 6-2 record or you know, a 4-0 record, depending on if you're just a mid-level team. You know, a mid-level team can play 4 bottom teams and get those wins or beat a couple of teams on their level. But, you know, if you don't play, and it's kind of like, you know, with my Bengals, you know, that right now they're on the part of the schedule where these are the wins that, you know, are going to show people we're for real. Like, you know, the 49ers, they had those wins now. So now people are starting to know the 49ers are for real. And, but so I think that's kind of what Buffalo was. And now they started playing teams, those real teams. And you get that bad momentum. You get rolling downhill. And, you know, it's hard to stop.
And I guess the next one we'll talk about my Lions, who started out against Carolina, didn't look very well, but ended up winning the game 49-35. And there's an interesting story within the Lions game too. They started out real well and ran through, you know, just a few of these losses. I guess the biggest one that kind of started their 2 or 3 game loss skid was the 49er game. But 2 things about, I think, Carolina and then Detroit. Carolina certainly with Cam Newton. I think that this team is going to be a team to watch in the next couple of years. You take a draft and, you know, some free agents in the offseason, get some more tools around Cam Newton. I think it's going to be a franchise that's going to be kind of moving up the board within the league. Detroit certainly turning around from, you know, being an 0-16 team to starting to grab a few wins and then jumping into this season. And then the story behind the Lions in this game was running back Kevin Smith, who was with them several years but was cut coming into the season. And Detroit, since Javid Best has gone down, they've gone through a myriad of running backs. They've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4 other running backs, and now here comes Kevin Smith, and comes in, has a great game, and has rejuvenated the running game on the offense. And, you know, I think, in my opinion, even if Javid Best is back, here's a great compliment to it, because now you've got 2 threats that you're going to have a tough time trying to stop. But I'd like to get your take. That's kind of my take on those. Get your take on it.
I mean, well, I'm sold on Detroit. I'm a fan of defense anyway. You know, I think if you're one of the teams that has a great defense, I think you're going to be, you know, you're instantly in that upper level of teams, just because, you know, everybody knows defense wins championships. And me being a DB, my my take on a defense, if you got a D-line, that sets the tone for the entire defense. You know, you can't have a great DB without a decent D-line, a good D-line. You know, there's not too many secondaries that make the D-line. You know, the D-line, you get that heat up front. I mean, Dre Bly in college, his entire front seven went in the first day of the draft. I mean, that's you just catching ducks back there. You know, it's Oski all day. But you know, they got Sue, Farley, Vanden Bosch, Cliff. I mean, that's some fire up front. And they run that wide 9 because you got Sue in the middle. I lived in Nebraska when Sue was in college, and if you ever get a chance to watch his last Big 12 championship game against Texas, I've never seen a defensive lineman put his name in the game like that. He was out there. He was the saying, a bull in the china cabinet. That was him that day. He was throwing linemen.
He did whatever he wanted to.
Oh man, he was like a man playing with his son. You know, just throwing the linemen around. He had one. He really threw the quarterback about 4 yards, one play. But he can handle those. He can handle multiple gaps in that defense. So that wide 9, you know, I think they can manage it with that. And then that just makes, if you got the front 4, you know, disrupting like that, the linebackers are just running free. Secondaries just catching fluttered balls, like you saw Cam Newton's first interception of the day yesterday was it was just a duck. And I think it was Eric Smith had just dropped one the play before. Then he came back and caught that one. It was like catching a punt. But that's what you get when you get that front 4. And I played against Megatron his rookie year, and you know you could tell he was going to be good. You know, he was young. It was early in the season, so he was real young. But you could tell. I mean, he's huge. He's like Plaxico Burress, but with more size, like a bigger, stronger Plaxico Burress. Just tall, you know, they just look like Godzilla out there, just running around, tall receivers. But he looks like if
you know, if Megatron makes up his mind that this is going to be my game, then it's going to be his game, and he'll wear down in my opinion, unless it's a bigger DB or a bigger corner, he's going to wear him out. He seems to get there and being able to position himself because of his size and his strength well enough to get the ball, and then jumping, going up after it too. So I'm going to ask you this too, B. You know, the stuff that's kind of been going around this year about Detroit, and especially with Ndamukong Suh, was that he's kind of getting this moniker as a dirty player. Just kind of your take on that. I look at it, of course, Lions was one of my former teams. I was there the longest. I'll look at him as a true almost an old school defensive lineman in that he comes at it hard and aggressive and mean and ugly every play. And that's what you want out of those guys. You want them coming hard like that. Like you said, it helps your DBs because it's going to present more opportunities for interceptions and turnovers. With those guys that they have on that line, you get all of them running with the same type motor. You get sacks and other turnovers too.
Right. I agree. I mean, I don't think there's no such thing. A clean D lineman is a
jobless D lineman. You know, you can't be. And I just think Sue is, like I said, man, he's a man among boys.
The Tampa Bay Bucks against the Green Bay Packers. Bucks played that pretty good game. You know, the Pack ends up winning 35-26, and I think everybody thought that Green Bay would probably blow Tampa Bay out of the water. Didn't really happen, but it just seems to me that Green Bay's on such a roll, and for me, you got Thanksgiving Day obviously coming up, so the Lions have the Packers. I think Detroit is certainly poised to be able to beat them on Thanksgiving Day, but Green Bay didn't miss. They're rolling.
Man, I think that offense, you know, it's like a machine. You know, right now they're kind of like that New England offense a couple years ago. But this one just seems a little bit different just because Aaron Rodgers can do to make plays with his feet. But you know, their defense, they have a good defense. But like you said about Detroit, I think Detroit could do it because, like we said, that D lineman. that front four. And we saw the recipe to beat New England that year was the New York Giants in that front four. So this is going to be, I mean, you hit the quarterback. I don't care what quarterback you are. I don't care how great you are. I don't care what your reputation is. If you hit the quarterback, he's going to feel it and he's going to think about it. And so if you get a couple of hits, I mean, they say Sue's a dirty player. This is the big stage, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. And now it's time to get the Euro team here. The Bengals and the Ravens. Fairly close game. 24-31 Ravens end up winning. Cincinnati, I'll let you take that part of it. The Ravens, to me, is just a team is which team's going to show up. And I look at their quarterback in Flacco, and what I see this year through the season is he's been a little bit like I don't want to take a direct comparison, but a little bit like Tom Brady, because if you get Flacco happy feet in the pocket, you've got the game in hand. They're not going to, you'll beat them. Then the same thing with Brady. If you've moved him in the pocket, that's when New England's had trouble. But from the time the Titans beat him earlier in the year, and that's what happened. They got him real antsy about sitting in that pocket. Other teams have done that too and have had success against them. But I'll let you take it from the Bengals side since that's your team.
Well, going into the game, for some reason, with the Bengals, even on the bad years, they'll have moderate success against the Ravens. They'll go 1-1 against the Ravens, or sometimes they'll sweep the Ravens. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, because Marvin's experience with the Ravens, and he just has he knows them a little better. But so going into the game, I really thought, we had a chance to win, especially since they played so good against, they had a real good game against Pittsburgh, better than most people expected. Bengals were going to play, Pittsburgh, and Ravens all are going to play again within the next, month, 5 weeks. So they'll get another shot, and we'll see if they can pull it out then.
Anything coming up this the Thursday night game? We've got 3 this year on Thanksgiving. So the night game is going to be San Francisco against the Baltimore Ravens. So the battle of the Harbaughs, if you will, or the Harbaugh family. So I like what Jim Harbaugh has been able to infuse into San Francisco. It seems like he came in and goodness, they got a shot of B12 and they're gone and ready to go. But it seems to me like their season this year is for real, and they're going to be a legitimate playoff contender. It doesn't look like to this point anyone has really stopped them as of yet. And I haven't looked at the latter part of their schedule yet, but to me it just seems like they're going to keep going. But do you want to comment a little bit about the brother against brother and the 49ers?
I mean, that 49ers, what Jim is doing out there, that's like a real good example of what wanting to play for your coach can do for a team. I mean, because he came in, he hadn't met anybody on the team with the lockout and everything. You couldn't talk to the players. So he didn't meet the entire team until we started that accelerated training camp we had. So this is really like a great coaching job. And as well, it's a great job of the players buying in and buying into the system. Because, it's tough for a coach to come in and get a room of grown men to just come in and get you to believe in them. And for him to come in from college, and that's different. You get a college coach, sometimes they'll come in and try and give you that college coaching mentality, and it's different. But for him to do that and get the team to buy in, they got one of the top defenses in the land. The offense is doing good. Alex Smith is getting respect, again. So I think that's a great job, great coaching job. I saw the dad said he's not coming to the game. He said, "Oh no, I won't even be in the building." So it's a big deal for the family, and it's really, to me, that's really kind of cool. That'd be fun. That's like the ultimate brother rivalry right there. That's I think dinner time after the Friday night's gonna be fun. And
you kind of wonder how much and how long the conversation will be prior to the game with both of them going against one another as opposed to after the game.
Well, I saw early in the season, I saw a little documentary, and they said they won't talk this week. They did like a little, like a Kenny Mayne, one of his little documentaries, or somebody off ESPN, and he said he won't talk this week. They both said they won't speak this week.
I played against Harbaugh. I played against Jim Harbaugh when he was with the Bears, and I know he's one of the most competitive guys I've been around. I've been around a few in my time, but he's very, very competitive. So, and I'm sure if that's gone through that family, then it's going to be that way too.
Yeah,
we had the Titans go down to Atlanta this past weekend and lost that game 17-23, and Matt Hasselbeck had hurt his elbow a little bit in the game, came out.
Jake Locker went in, and we saw some pretty good flashes from Jake Locker. So I think with the Titans, the future of the Titans at quarterback looks really good. The question now is going to become, when does he get more playing time to get in there? And then here's the Titans again of a team that's kind of been up and down all year. Played good against some teams, and then 2 weeks ago basically just looked terrible, and played okay against Atlanta, but just couldn't say, boy, could not stop Michael Turner. Big back. Now you're a DB, Brandon. You're gonna tackle a big back. I always thought, and always, you take his legs out. You don't try to hit him up top, and he just ran over everybody on the Titans.
Yeah, no, you don't do that. You don't do that. You got to hit him where he's thin. You can't do that. You'll have all type of broke noses and busted lips and all that. Bruised shoulders. You try to hit him up high like that. And what you really don't want to do, you don't want to let him turn the corner. You kind of want to hit him while he's still moving side to side. Because as soon as he gets the corner and starts to get that momentum going, that's where injuries occur. That's where you start seeing people get up, shaking their shoulders and stuff. Like, oh yeah, he that one. He felt that one.
Yeah, he's a big boy, and he brings it when he turns the ball up the field.
Yeah, he's on my fantasy team too. He takes care of me on that, on my league.
I bet he
Thanks,
does.
Mike. Thanks, Burner Turner.
One of the things that here in Tennessee, I think a lot of people, Brandon, that want we feel like we have more of a ballet dancer than we have a running back. So we'd like to. A lot of people are not very happy with Chris Johnson's situation this year, in that a holdout for a big contract. And from my aspect of it, looking at him, I'm not seeing the runner I saw a year ago at all. I'm seeing a totally different runner. And as you know, you can get in the league and you have guys who sign a big contract and it changes them completely.
Right.
We call it the Roger Dorn syndrome here. But yeah, Major League. So I'm not going to do anything to hurt this. So if you could give us comment, I think you saw the statistics, 12 carries for 13 yards.
I can do that. I can really go out there and get 13 yards on 12 carries.
I'm not so sure at my age I couldn't.
I used to do that in practice. We saw, a defense, the defense always serves as their own scout team. So when it'd be our turn, I always wanted to play running back. So I'd always be running back on the scout team. And we used to keep stats. Yeah. We used to keep our own little scout team stats. Some days we have about 80 yards. Some days we have, 20. But I could get 13 yards against somebody. You can just dive for a yard of carry. Get the ball and dive 2 yards.
Yeah.
That's horrible. And you just got paid. How much did he get paid? $50 million?
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's crazy.
Exactly. We can start our own come on, man, about that. What we're seeing here, honestly, you see a guy get out in space, and the first step to make the guy miss, and then that burst is not there. I look at a Michael Turner, and here's the ball. And, of course, he's a bigger back, yes, but he doesn't have the speed that Chris Johnson has. Chris is not hitting the whole speed. He's not making a move and hitting the accelerator. And I think that's, from a fan standpoint, they look at that. And it's okay, hey, yeah, he's had a great season last year, and he gets a new contract, but you come out on the field, and what fans are honestly watching are seeing a guy who's like, again, it's the Roger Dorn thing. You think I'm going to do anything to mess this up now? I've got all this money in the bank. And quite honestly, it's very frustrating for the fans in Tennessee that have followed the Titans to see a guy who, in my opinion, on the field is going through the motions. Now, I'm a former player. I prefer guys making what they can make in this league. But I also understand that to do that, you've got to come out and you've got to put it on the field and you've got to let it go for your team. And quite honestly, I don't think he's there for this team. I don't think, and I certainly don't think he's there for these fans. Anyway, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks, and we'll have some more comments on that as well. I want to thank you, Brandon, for being on with us and going over these. We'll do this again. We want to thank the people for tuning in to SOTL School of the Legends, and keep coming back and seeing us. Go to Brandon's page at the Cincinnati Bengals, follow him, and sign up, become a fan from School of the Legends.